2 years ago, my family and I took our first Royal Caribbean cruise on Freedom of the Seas. And when I tell you I had absolutely no idea what to expect, I mean none. We're talking about traveling with 2 kids, my sister and her crew, meaning her husband and her kids. My husband has flight anxiety, and I was just trying to make everybody comfortable so that we would have a stress-free vacation. But let me go ahead and spoil the ending for you. We loved it. The service was amazing. The kids had a ball. Our room was beautiful. The food was good. And by the end of those 4 days, I was not ready to get off the ship. There are definitely some things that I learned along the way that I would do again, and a few things I would do differently the next time. So if you're thinking about taking Freedom of the Seas, especially if this is going to be your first cruise or you're traveling with kids, stay with me because I'm going to walk you through everything from our experience from driving from Mississippi to Atlanta all the way to Miami and getting on the ship. I'm also going to tell you one thing that I wish I had done differently. But before we get into all of that, if you're new here, hey girl, hey, I'm Tangela, and this video is really about building a life that you actually enjoy. I believe that everyday people can create income, more income. They can create the freedom that they want and ultimately build the life that they want. So around here, you're going to see me a lot talking about making money, business ideas, family, travel, and just some real life things that I've learned along the way. So if that sounds like the kind of channel you like, go ahead and subscribe and come along with me. Okay, so let's get into it. We're coming from Mississippi, but we decided to fly out of Atlanta simply because my husband has flight anxiety. And one thing you need to know is I like to make sure everybody is comfortable, because when they are comfortable, I am comfortable. We planned this trip. I booked at the Marriott Concourse that's connected to the Atlanta airport, and we booked the park and stay. I'll make sure that I put a picture of everything that I'm talking about. So I didn't want to have to rush through the airports because that immediately creates anxiety, and that would have been a terrible way to start the trip. But we stayed, we did the park and stay, we drove to Atlanta, stayed, we went and actually kind of toured the airport to try to figure out where our terminal would be, where to check in for Delta at, all the things. We had dinner back at the hotel, which was great. They have a variety of things. It's kind of like a sports bar, so it was really lovely because it was connected to the airport. And when you have kids in tow, you want things that are convenient. So the next morning we got up. The hotel does not have breakfast. They do offer small pastries, and they have a Starbucks coffee shop. All right, so if you live a few hours away from the airport that you're flying out of, I would suggest you do something like this, especially if you're flying out of the Atlanta airport. It just makes it easier for the vacation, and nobody is rushing. Nobody's worried about traffic and all the things. It creates less hassle for just getting everybody on the flight at one time. Sometimes I feel like I should have been a travel agent. I just love traveling and planning. But anyway, all right. So we took our luggage and everything to the airport because they don't offer breakfast, like I said before. And with 2 kids, we were able to catch the tram from underneath the hotel. We catch the tram from the hotel over directly to Atlanta airport. You get off at the airport, you go find your terminal and all the things. So this was helpful for my husband because, again, he wasn't stressed. He doesn't like flying. But we end up flying Delta, and we did pay the upcharge to fly Delta Comfort just to simply give him a little bit more leg room to make him not feel like he was claustrophobic. For the kids, I packed snacks, even though Delta offers snacks. And of course, Delta experience is amazing as always. They're always on time. My little girl, she tends to complain about her ears hurting when we fly. So I made sure that she had earplugs and her headphones for her iPad. And if you're flying with kids, one thing I've learned is to keep the things that they actually are going to need on the plane, keep them with you. For my kids, they're a little bit older. They're 8 and 13, so they had their own individual backpacks where they kept their headphones, their tablets, their chargers, snacks, some comfort items, because my little girl, she's very, very cozy and snuggly. She loves a blanket. So once you are 30,000 feet in the air or a little later, you don't want to realize that the headphones are in the suitcase underneath the plane. So So thankfully everyone did well and we made it to Atlanta. And this is where things got a little bit more interesting. So we booked a private shuttle, me and my sister and her crew, getting from the airport to the hotel, which wasn't bad. The driver, he was lovely. He picked us up. He kind of gave us a tour of Miami as he was taking us to the hotel. But the next day, that changed everything. And when it comes time to go to the cruise port, you want to make sure that your transportation is intact, that everything is flawless. The hiccup that we had was it was a total different company that picked us up, and I had to try to contact the company. And when you have kids and suitcases and bags and everything in tow, you want everything to be in order. So that was the hiccup with this particular company. They did supply the driver for the first day, but I don't know whether they had a contract company that they worked for, and the lady, she picked us up, but I wasn't aware that the transportation shuttle will have a different name on it. So it was a lot of confusion that morning just trying to get to the port, but we eventually got everything figured out. And if you're planning on doing private shuttle, make sure that you get confirmation the night before. Make sure you ask for what's the company's name, what type of vehicle you should be looking for, what color is the vehicle, who exactly will be picking us up, because I asked our driver that drove us from the airport to the hotel, and he said that he may pick us up the next morning. It just all depends on, I guess, who they had him booked for. But it was a totally different company. But nonetheless, we end up getting to the cruise port. Okay, so I'm trying my best to stay on track, but let me just back up, because we actually did have a lovely day in Miami. We stayed at the InterContinental Miami Hotel, and it's very close to the Bayside Marketplace. It was a very safe environment. We were able to get out with the kids and just walk. It maybe was a mile away from the hotel. Miami is a very nice area, all the good vibes, all the vacation vibes. So that was the good thing about staying at InterContinental. The staff was lovely. The hotel was impeccable. I'll insert a few clips from our hotel room. They had a snack bar. We just booked a double queen, double full room for the night. So that was very comfortable for us. They had a bar, they had a restaurant on site. We actually got some food from the Bayside Marketplace. The kids, they rode the Skyline type of Ferris wheel thing. We just had a lovely day in Miami that day, so we thoroughly enjoyed it. Okay, getting on the ship, everyone was very, very excited. My husband, this was his first time cruising all together, and this was my first time cruising with Royal Caribbean. We ended up booking a owner's suite cabin, and we did that because we have the kids. So of course I packed our boarding passes, passports, all the things, and we actually got on the ship. So I'm going to insert a little clip of the room. I just did a quick room tour because I didn't realize I was going to actually upload this video, but I do want you guys to see the views, the room, and all the things. It was worth every penny. I do not regret it. Everybody had room. It was very spacious. We were comfortable and very well accommodated. Even when we went to the bars and everything, it's like the servers were looking for us to serve us on the pool deck, in the theater, wherever we were. Somebody was there to offer us some type of concierge service. And that's another thing that I'll talk about. Now, here's something that's interesting. We went on Utopia of the Seas this year in May, and we booked the owner suite again. And the suite experience on Utopia was a little bit different. We actually had more perks with our suite on Utopia than we did on Freedom of the Seas. Like, there is a whole suite deck that's catered to suite guests, but that's a whole other video because I have plenty to tell y'all about Utopia. And don't get me started on what happened with our flight for that trip as well. So that's coming. And if you want to see that video, make sure that you subscribe. And if I'm rambling or whatever, make sure that you like, so I know that you like all of my yapping. But back to Freedom of the Seas, you really need to think about the people that you're traveling with. If it's just you and your spouse, you're barely going to need all of that excess room. You might not even care about having all of that space. But if you have children that you're traveling with, and somebody might get claustrophobic, or you just want that extra space for your family so that everybody is comfortable, look for options and choose the cabin that's best for you, especially on your first cruise. So now let's talk about the actual ship. Freedom of the Seas isn't one of the newest ships. It's actually an older ship, and I think it was remodeled maybe in 2020. Now let's talk about the food, because my kids survived on pizza, cookies, and ice cream. We ate at the buffet most nights, and we didn't have a problem with not going to the main dining room because we were always just busy doing something on the ship, or maybe in the midst of a show by the time it was time for my time dining. And when you only have 4 days, you're feeling like, let me just try to get everything we can get done while we're on the boat. Well, we went to an ice skating show. The kids, they did the pool. Me and my husband and my sister and brother-in-law, we did playmakers. And then we have CocoCay. And before you know it, the cruise is over. So sometimes we didn't want to take a long dining experience. We just wanted to grab something to eat and get back to enjoying ourselves. Playmakers was our very favorite spot on the ship, because we're just those casual type of laid back people that we just like to shoot pool, hang out, sit around, drink, eat. But if there is one thing I would change about this entire trip, is the length of it. To me, 4 days was not enough. I want to do 7, but my husband, he don't want to take off work that long. I'm a tax business owner, so the summertimes gives me all the flexibility that I need. And me and my husband both are entrepreneurs, which we can kind of be flexible with our time. But my husband, he loves working. So if you have time in your schedule to schedule out a longer cruise, then definitely do so. I may end up scheduling a longer cruise just for myself or for me and the kids in the future. But I want to ask you, would you let the kids go with you if you went on a cruise? Because I had watched so many cruise videos, and a couple of people said if I have to take my kids on a cruise, I would not go. But I guess, like with life, it's what you make it. Even with cruising and vacation, is what you make it. We have never been on vacation without our kids, like a out of the country vacation without our kids. So that's one of the things that we enjoy, and we do feel like we get to spend time with them, and they get to spend time together enjoying the things that they like to do. Highlights of the cruise was, of course, Perfect Day at CocoCay, and that was our first time going, and everyone deserves to go to Perfect Day at CocoCay. Our family had such a great time. I got pictures, I got videos, I got things I would recommend, and I'm going to walk you through the whole experience at the Perfect Day at CocoCay in another video. So make sure that you subscribe, because that's coming up next. Now, before I give you my final opinion of Freedom of the Seas, would I sail Freedom of the Seas again? Of course I would, without hesitation. I think the ship is very special. It holds a special place in my heart because it was my kids' first cruise and my husband's first cruise. The service was amazing. We love the suite. That's one thing I would discuss in Utopia of the Seas video, is the difference between the service on a bigger ship as opposed to maybe the older ships or the smaller ships. My biggest regret, of course, like I said, is that we had only 4 days, but now I want to hear from you. If you already sailed on Freedom of the Seas, tell me down in the comments what your experience was like. Did you love it? Was it your favorite ship, or did you fall in love with another ship? And tell me if you're planning to go on a future Freedom of the Seas cruise. This channel is not all about vacationing. This channel is about creating extra income to build the life and get the freedom that you deserve, and actually enjoying the life that you're working so hard to build. I've got plenty more coming. So again, subscribe and comment down below. Like the video. It really helps me with the algorithm. And I'll see you in the next one.